There is a second legal system you live under every single day. It has no courts and no written statutes, yet its punishments are swift and severe. Public shame, silent judgment, and the quiet label of being a monster. These are the unwritten rules of American life, the invisible forces that have far more control over our behavior than any actual law. Today, we're exposing the 50 most powerful ones. 1. You must tip, or you are a monster. This is the cornerstone of American social law. There is no federal statute demanding you give your server 20%. But the sheer, bone-deep terror of being judged for undertipping is a more powerful deterrent than the IRS. It's a system enforced not by police, but by the quiet, soul-crushing disappointment in a server's eyes. You're not just paying for a meal, you're paying a guilt tax to avoid the silent verdict that you are, in fact, a bad person. 2. The buffer urinal is sacred. In a public restroom with a row of empty urinals, you do not choose the one directly next to a stranger. This is a law more rigorously enforced than gravity. If 3 are open, you take an end. The next person takes the other end, leaving the middle one as a hallowed, unspoken DMZ. Choosing the adjacent urinal isn't just a breach of etiquette, it's a psychological assault. This isn't just about personal space, it's the ultimate litmus test for whether or not you are a functioning member of society. 3. You must say, "bless you," when someone sneezes. We do this on pure instinct, a social reflex drilled into us since childhood. But have you ever stopped to wonder why? This isn't just politeness. It's a bizarre cultural relic from the time of the bubonic plague. People genuinely believed a sneeze could expel the soul from the body, and a quick "God bless you" was a supernatural emergency intervention to shove it back in. Today, we're all just running a 700-year-old antivirus program against demonic possession every time someone has allergies. 4. Step into any elevator with more than 2 strangers, and you'll witness a silent geometric ballet. People instinctively drift to the furthest corners, creating an invisible force field between them. This isn't just awkwardness, it's the sacred American rule of the personal space bubble. We all understand it, we all enforce it, yet we never speak of it. It's a dance of unspoken geometry we perform every single day, just to avoid the catastrophic tragedy of our elbows touching. 5. There are few social blunders that announce your incompetence quite like this one. You walk through the door of a friend's party, and your hands are empty. Suddenly, you're not a guest. You're a freeloader, a social parasite. The unwritten law is absolute. You never ever show up to a gathering without a contribution. That bottle of wine or sad-looking bag of chips isn't really a gift. Let's be honest, it's your social entry fee. 6. In a world of constant noise, the movie theater is one of our last sacred quiet spaces. And its sanctity is protected not by ushers, but by a form of swift, passive-aggressive vigilante justice. The moment someone's voice cuts through the darkness, the entire room unites in a single, murderous glare. The rule is simple and absolute. Your mouth is for popcorn, not commentary. The angry "shush" is the last form of public shaming we all agree on, and it is brutally effective. 7. Someone shows you a meme or a funny video on their phone. You watch it. You don't find it funny. It does not matter. The unwritten law of shared media is that you must provide a positive reaction, a small laugh, a chuckle, even just a sharp exhale through the nose. This is the required social payment for the act of sharing. A blank stare is a rejection not just of the joke, but of the person showing it to you. So you perform the little laugh because it's the price of keeping the peace. 8. It's a strange form of social arithmetic. A box with 2 slices of pizza is just a box with 2 slices, but a box with 1 slice left becomes a cursed object, a social landmine. Suddenly, no one is hungry enough to claim it. This is the great paradox of the last slice. A piece of food everyone wants but no one dares to take. We'd rather let it congeal into a cold, sad disk than be labeled the one who took the last piece. 9. The doors of the bus slide open, and an elderly woman with a cane steps on. Suddenly, it's not a commute. It's a pop quiz for your soul. A law more powerful than any city ordinance is triggered. If you are young and able-bodied, you must offer your seat. Pretending to be asleep or deeply engrossed in your phone is not a valid defense. The silent collective judgment of every other passenger becomes a palpable force, a courtroom that has already found you guilty of failing a basic test of human decency. 10. A lone jacket draped over a chair in a busy cafe. It's a simple object, but it has been given a temporary superpower by an unwritten social law. We all know exactly what it means. This spot is taken. This is the universal system of the table claim. By leaving a personal item behind, you create an invisible force field around that space. There's no real enforcement, just a fragile, collective understanding that separates a civilized lunch rush from a chaotic free-for-all for the last available seat. 11. In the age of binge-watching and shared cultural events, a new and powerful social law has been forged in the fires of the internet. You shall not, under any circumstances, reveal a major plot point of a movie or TV show to someone who hasn't seen it. A spoiler is not just information, it is theft. You are robbing someone of a genuine, unrepeatable emotional experience. A moment of shock, joy, or suspense they can never get back. There is an unwritten embargo period after every major release, and violating it is the cardinal sin of modern storytelling. 12. The phone rings. It's a number you don't recognize. What's your first instinct? Curiosity? No. It's suspicion, bordering on dread. The new cardinal rule of American life is this: you do not answer calls from unknown numbers. You let it go to voicemail, a digital purgatory where you will later judge its worthiness. This isn't just about avoiding spam. It's a fundamental shift in our social contract. The unscheduled phone call has become a social violation, an aggressive and presumptuous demand for your immediate, undivided attention. 13. You open a text message from a friend, and in that instant, the sender sees the little "read" receipt pop up on their screen. An unwritten law has just been activated, and it applies directly to you. You can no longer pretend you didn't see the message. To leave them unread, especially after a direct question, is now a deliberate choice. It's the digital equivalent of someone asking you a question to your face, you making direct eye contact, and then slowly and silently turning your back on them. Your silence isn't just silence anymore, it's a statement. 14. Your friend hands you their phone and says, "Just look at this one picture." This is not a casual invitation. It is the beginning of a sacred trust exercise with one single, unbreakable rule. You do not, under any circumstances, swipe left or right. Their phone is a Pandora's box of private messages, embarrassing selfies, and questionable search histories. To swipe is to violate a digital social contract of the highest order, an act of invasive curiosity that can instantly shatter a friendship. Your only lawful move is to look at the single photo, nod, and hand the phone back. 15. A proud new parent shoves their phone in your face, displaying a picture of their newborn. The baby may look like a confused, wrinkly potato. It does not matter. The law is absolute, and in this high-stakes theatrical performance, there is only one correct line. "Oh, so cute." Any other reaction, hesitation, faint praise, or the catastrophic blunder of objective honesty is a social grenade. This is not a moment for art criticism. It is a sacred ritual, and the truth is a luxury you simply cannot afford. 16. Your friend is sitting next to you, scrolling on their phone. Your eyes might drift over, but a powerful modern law immediately stops you. You do not look at another person's phone screen. Their screen is a private space, a portal into their life, and to peer into it uninvited is the digital equivalent of reading their mail. It's a silent, universal understanding that whatever is happening on that little glowing rectangle is none of your business, and violating that trust is a major social crime. 17. Your neighbor just mowed their lawn. Now you have to mow yours. This isn't a city ordinance. It's the law of suburban warfare. The condition of your front lawn is a public report card on your entire life. A perfectly manicured emerald green carpet means you are a responsible, successful member of society. A single, defiant dandelion is a sign of weakness, an unforgivable crack in the facade. This unspoken arms race, fought with fertilizer and edgers, is what separates civilization from wilderness. 18. You're in a conversation, and the other person is telling a story. Halfway through, you realize you have a similar, and frankly, much better story. You are now at a critical social crossroads. The unwritten law of conversational turn-taking is clear. You must let them finish their story, in its entirety, before you begin yours. To interrupt with, "Oh, that reminds me of the time I," is a hostile takeover of the narrative. It's a subtle but brutal way of saying, "Your experience is merely a launchpad for my more interesting one." It's not a conversation, it's a hijacking. 19. Your friend slides their basket of fries toward you and says, "Want some?" This is not an invitation. It is a high-stakes test of your moral character. An unwritten law, deeply embedded in the American psyche, is immediately invoked. You are permitted to take a few, but you must not take a handful. Taking 2 or 3 fries is a polite gesture of friendship. Taking a fistful is an act of barbarism that will be silently judged and remembered forever. It's a bizarre ritual of performative restraint, designed to prove you are a civilized human and not a feral animal who just stumbled out of the woods. 20. The meeting has run its course. Everyone is tired. The boss looks around the room and says, "Any final questions?" This is a test. The unwritten law is that unless the building is on fire, you are not supposed to ask a genuinely new, complex question. Doing so makes you the enemy of the people, the person who single-handedly extended a meeting that was seconds from being over. A smart question asked 30 minutes ago makes you look good. The same question asked now makes you a monster who hates freedom. 21. When you are a guest in someone's home, you cease to be a normal person and become a tenant on a very short-term, high-stakes lease, where the security deposit is your friendship. The unwritten law of the house guest is to be as invisible and low impact as possible. You make your bed, you clean the sink, you never leave your belongings strewn about. The ultimate goal is to achieve a state of positive zero, leaving behind nothing but a thank you note and the faint memory of your pleasantness. This silent pass-fail test determines if you'll ever be invited back. 22. You walk into the bathroom and discover a scene of pure negligence. A cardboard tube, barren and forlorn, sitting where a roll of toilet paper should be. This isn't an inconvenience, it's a betrayal. The law of the roll is absolute. If you finish it, you replace it. Leaving the empty tube is a passive-aggressive declaration that your time is more valuable than the next person's comfort and hygiene. It's a small act that serves as a giant, flashing billboard announcing that you are, in fact, a monster. 23. There are no painted lines on a sidewalk, but there might as well be. An unwritten traffic law governs every pedestrian in America. You walk on the right. When 2 people are approaching each other, you both instinctively shift to your right to allow the other to pass. To walk down the middle, or worse, on the left, is to create a game of human chicken. It's a small act of chaos that forces a stranger to correct your mistake, and it silently communicates that you have no idea how to move through the world. 24. It's 7 a.m. on a Saturday morning. The sun is just coming up, the neighborhood is quiet. And in this sacred piece, a powerful unspoken law holds sway. You do not start your lawnmower. The weekend morning is a protected time, and to fire up a loud engine is to declare war on every one of your neighbors. This isn't just about noise. It's a fundamental violation of a community treaty that respects everyone's right to not be woken up by a 2-stroke engine. 25. You're at a sporting event, and the first notes of the national anthem begin to play. A powerful, unspoken social command ripples through the crowd. You stand up. You stop talking. You face the flag. There is no law forcing you to do this, but the social pressure is as real as gravity. To remain seated or continue your conversation is seen as a profound act of disrespect. In that moment, the stadium ceases to be a collection of individuals and becomes a single body, governed by one silent, powerful rule. 26. Taking your dog for a walk comes with a sacred, non-negotiable duty. When your beloved furry companion does its business on a neighbor's lawn, the law is clear. You must pick it up. This feels so much like a law that people are shocked to find out it's often not. But the social enforcement is more powerful than any police force. Leaving it behind is an act of profound disrespect, a bioweapon deployed in a peaceful suburb. You instantly become the neighborhood pariah, the one whose name is whispered with disgust at all future block parties. 27. A friend lets you borrow a book, a power tool, or their car. This is an act of profound trust, a temporary transfer of ownership that invokes an immediate and binding law. You must return the borrowed item in the exact same, or preferably, a slightly better condition. You return the car with a full tank of gas, even if you only drove it 2 miles. You return the book with a bookmark, not a dog-eared page. This isn't just about maintenance, it's the unspoken interest payment on a loan of pure trust, and your social credit score depends on it. 28. You're in a quiet waiting room, a crowded bus, the silent sanctuary of a library. You're scrolling on your phone, minding your own business. Then it happens. Your thumb slips, and for one horrifying second, a video autoplays at the volume of a rock concert. The frantic scramble to hit the volume button is a panic move unlike any other. The unspoken law is absolute. Your phone's sound is your own private business. In that moment, you have committed one of the great sins of modern life, the public audio breach. 29. You've just settled into your seat for a 6-hour flight, and then you realize your fate. You're in the middle, a cursed space with no view and no freedom. But there is one small consolation prize, a single scrap of dignity afforded to you by an unwritten but sacred law. The armrests on both sides are yours. This is the Geneva Convention of air travel. The window seat gets the view, the aisle seat gets the legroom, but the middle seat gets the territory. It's a silent treaty, enforced by elbow nudges and quiet resentment. A delicate balance of power that prevents total anarchy at 30,000 feet. To encroach on that space isn't just rude, it's a war crime. 30. Listen closely to the first 10 seconds of almost any casual American conversation, and you'll hear a pre-programmed script. Person A. Hey, how are you? Person B. Good, you? This isn't a question. It's a verbal handshake, a 2-second ritual to confirm both parties are functioning humans before any real information is exchanged. Admitting your car just exploded or your dog ran away with the mailman is a shocking violation of protocol that traps the other person in a conversation they desperately want to escape. 31. You're walking down the street with a friend, and you run into someone else you know. A silent social countdown timer has just begun. A non-negotiable law is immediately triggered. You must perform the introduction. To fail to do so, to just launch into a separate conversation, is to create a pocket of pure social agony. You have instantly demoted your original friend to the status of a human prop, an anonymous bystander forced to stare at their phone or the middle distance. This isn't just a matter of forgetting a name, it's a momentary act of social erasure. The introduction is the simple, sacred act that says, "You both exist and you are both welcome in my world." 32. You approach the office kitchen, seeking the sweet relief of caffeine, only to find an empty glass carafe sitting on the hot plate, scorched, desolate, and smelling of bitter regret. This is not a simple mistake. It is a crime against the collective morale and productivity of the entire workforce. The law of the communal coffee pot is absolute. You kill the pot, you make a new one. To do otherwise is to declare that your need is the only one that matters. You didn't just empty a coffee pot. You announced to a dozen of your colleagues that you are the main character, and they are all just living in your world. 33. Of all the unspoken social contracts, this one is the most sacred. It is the invisible bedrock upon which all public order is built. We will tolerate bad weather, slow service, and terrible music, but we will not tolerate a violation of the queue. The rule is simple: you wait your turn in line. Cutting is not just rude, it's a declaration that your time is more valuable than everyone else's. A profound moral crime that can turn a peaceful line at the DMV into a scene from a gladiator movie. Without this rule, there is no society, only chaos. 34. A friend asks you for the ultimate favor, to help them move. You agree, and in doing so, you have just signed an invisible, ironclad contract written in sweat and sealed with the groan of lifting a box labeled kitchen stuff. The law of the return favor is now in effect. By sacrificing your Saturday, you have created a social debt of immense power. They are now legally and morally obligated to help you move, no matter when or where. This debt is lifelong, non-transferable, and more binding than any document a team of lawyers could ever draft. 35. The check hits the table, and a switch flips. What was a friendly meal now becomes a bizarre, ceremonial battle of generosity. This is the check dance, and its rules are unwritten but fiercely followed. It begins with a calm, "I got this," which is immediately parried with a, "No, please, let me." This can escalate into a physical contest, with participants literally trying to snatch the bill or force their credit card into the server's hand. It's a public performance where you must fiercely argue to give your money away, all to avoid the silent shame of letting someone else pay. It's the only contest in the world where the winner's prize is a lighter wallet. 36. There is a sound that can unite a room of total strangers in pure, seething hatred. It's not a fire alarm. It's the tinny, obnoxious audio of someone using their speakerphone in public. An unwritten law, which should be a felony, dictates that phone calls are a private affair. Subjecting an entire coffee shop or the quiet car of a train to one side of your conversation about Brenda's disastrous date is a profound act of social terrorism. You're not just being loud. You're unilaterally deciding that your conversation is now everyone's unwilling podcast. 37. In the enclosed, shared space of an office break room, there is a list of unwritten culinary war crimes. At the very top of that list is microwaving fish. The person who commits this act is not just having lunch, they are launching an olfactory assault that seeps into the ceiling tiles and the very souls of their coworkers. The lingering, pervasive smell is a flagrant violation of the Geneva Convention of the Communal workspace. That microwave becomes a sarcophagus of shame, a monument to the one person who decided their craving for salmon was more important than everyone else's will to live. 38. The wedding invitation arrives, and inside is a link to a gift registry. This is not a helpful list of suggestions. This is the law book for this wedding, and you will abide by its statutes. To go off registry is to commit an act of supreme arrogance, to declare that you know what the happy couple needs better than they do. That hand-carved wooden goose you bought them isn't a thoughtful gift. It's a burden they now have to find a place for. The registry exists to prevent chaos, and your compliance is mandatory. 39. It's a split-second moral calculation we all make a dozen times a day. You're walking through a doorway. You hear footsteps behind you. Now you have to solve a complex physics problem involving distance, speed, and social obligation. Do you hold the door? Let it close? The decision you make in that instant defines you as a person, at least until the next door. It's the unspoken law of doorway chivalry, and the pressure is real. 40. There are certain questions you just don't ask in America. You don't ask someone's weight, you don't ask their age, and you absolutely, under no circumstances, ask how much money they make. Discussing your salary is the ultimate taboo. It's considered crude, invasive, and deeply personal. We've built an entire culture around the idea that a person's income is a secret number that defines their success, their value, and their place in the world. So we all just keep quiet, pretending we're not constantly wondering what everyone else is getting paid. 41. You've been invited to a potluck, a beautiful symphony of community and shared food. But with the invitation comes a legal summons. The unspoken law of the potluck is that you must bring a dish of perceived value. Showing up with a 2-liter bottle of generic soda or a single bag of chips is a crime. It is a calculated act of social arbitrage, attempting to trade a $3 investment for a $20 meal. Your contribution is your testimony, and the jury of your peers is watching and judging very closely. 42. Your shopping is done, the trunk is closed, and now you face one of modern life's great moral tests. It's a moment with no laws, no fines, and no one forcing you to do the right thing. The unwritten rule is that you must return your shopping cart to the designated corral. The shopping cart is the ultimate test of a person's capacity to be a decent human being when nobody is watching. Leaving it stranded in the middle of a parking space isn't just lazy, it's an act of social vandalism. It's the final silent exam of being a functional adult, and we are all judging you based on your score. 43. A barista hands you your coffee. A stranger holds a door. A coworker gives you a report. They have performed a service and you have responded with, "Thank you." The transaction is not over. The social contract is not fulfilled until they respond. An unwritten but mandatory law requires a "You're welcome," "No problem," or "My pleasure." Silence in the face of gratitude is not neutral. It's a power move. It's a cold, jarring rejection of a social bond that leaves the thanker wondering what they did to deserve the snub. 44. You're at the gym, earbuds in, focused on your workout. A stranger approaches. They are not on fire, they are not having a medical emergency, they just want to talk. This is a profound violation of one of modern America's most sacred unwritten laws. Headphones are a universal "do not disturb" sign. Putting them on is the social equivalent of putting up a velvet rope around yourself. To ignore this clear, universally understood signal is to say, "I see your boundary, and I have decided it does not apply to me." It's an act of social trespassing of the highest order. 45. You go to the pantry for a cookie, or the fridge for some milk. You grab the box and it's weightless. You open it and it's empty. This is a special kind of household crime. The unspoken law is not that you can't take the last one, it's that you can't put the empty container back. Leaving the box is an act of pure deception. It creates a moment of false hope that is cruelly shattered, turning a simple craving into a moment of bitter disappointment. You monster. 46. You see a friend who just had a baby. They look exhausted, like they've just survived a natural disaster. The law here is just as strict as the one about their baby. You must tell them they look great. To mention how tired they look isn't just rude. It's a confirmation of their deepest fears. They know they're a walking zombie. Your job is to lie directly to their face with a warm, convincing smile. It's a small, necessary act of kindness to help them pretend they're still a functioning human. 47. You're driving, music on, lost in thought, when you hear the distant sound of a siren. As the ambulance or fire truck gets closer, an unwritten rule of respect takes over. You instinctively turn down your radio. There is no law that says you must do this. But it is a collective, solemn gesture. It's a moment of shared public reverence, an acknowledgement that someone else's emergency is more important than your entertainment. For a few seconds, we all agree to just be quiet. 48. The parking lot is a battlefield of unwritten laws, but this one is the most fundamental. You park your car between the two white lines, not on them, not crooked across them. You fit your 2-ton metal box into the slightly larger box painted on the asphalt. To fail at this is to commit a cardinal sin of public incompetence. It's a broadcast to the entire world that you are either selfish, inept, or both. It's the simplest driving test there is, and you are being graded every time you park. 49. You spot them from 2 aisles away. A coworker you only sort of know. An old neighbor. Instantly, a silent alarm goes off in your head. The unwritten law is clear. Eye contact is a binding contract for 5 minutes of excruciating small talk. So you execute the dodge. You become intensely fascinated by the ingredients on a can of soup. You make a sharp, unnatural turn down the pet food aisle despite not owning a pet. This isn't being rude. It's a deeply understood social courtesy. We grant each other the right to buy our groceries in peace, preserving our collective sanity one averted glance at a time. Okay, we've covered 49 points, with just one massive one left to go. But before we get to number 50, it's time for the final verdict. In our opinion, the award for the most powerful unwritten rule from today's list goes to the urinal buffer zone. Simply because it is the most primal, the most fiercely defended, and the one rule that, if broken, makes you question a person's entire sanity. Do you agree with our verdict? Or did another point deserve this dubious honor? Let us know in the comments what you think. And now, our final number. 50. Of all the unwritten laws, this one is the nuclear option. It is the single most dangerous question in the English language, and the rule is simple. You never, ever ask a woman if she is pregnant. It does not matter if she appears to be 9.5 months along and is actively shopping for cribs. There is no scenario where the potential reward outweighs the catastrophic risk. If you are right, you've just stated the obvious. If you are wrong, you have created a moment of social horror from which there is no recovery. You cannot take it back. It is the ultimate final boss of unwritten rules, and you lose the game just by playing. So this second legal system isn't just a theory, it's the powerful, invisible software that keeps our society from crashing every single day. But this raises a critical question. What is the one unwritten rule that you believe is so important it should be made into a real, punishable law? And what should the punishment be? Share your new law in the comments below. If you want to keep decoding the hidden rules of our world, subscribe and hit the like button.